So a lot of people are down on Phil Spencer and Xbox after a little bit of controversy, and we're still kind of taking in some of the announcements and things that happened over the showcase, and give Microsoft props to themselves. They did a really good job with the showcase. It's very interesting, but Phil Spencer, one thing that has been kind of shown more than anything, is that at the end of the day, Phil Spencer says something, and it usually comes back to bite him in the rear end. So we'll see what happens with this. But there's a lot of people talking about this, and probably maybe might try to use this, against him or whatever. These things that never really work out, though, right? So what I'm saying is, you have this big Xbox contingent of fans that don't care what he says at one time. They'll just go, oh, well, he didn't lie. Businesses have to change directions or change courses or do this or do that. Like, if you go back to when Xbox One started putting their games day one on PC, it started out just being Windows PC, right? Windows 10, because, obviously if you put your things on Steam, that's competing directly with your own store on, Windows PCs, which is the, Windows Store. So, he said not every game will come to Windows PC. Of course, every game did end up going there. There's a lot of other instances of him lying and getting caught lying and things like that. First of all, saying that it was just 4 games, blah, blah, blah. We know that was all lies and nonsense because it was 5 to begin with. But what he said recently, the other thing is, like, this was pretty funny, where he's like, the deal with ZeniMax is to ensure we get exclusives where, Game Pass exists. Obviously that was a lie too. So, again, Microsoft is surely headed further and further away from console exclusivity. Even though some stuff might launch on as an exclusive on the Xbox, that probably won't be something that happens for long. Have you ever said something and then realized it was going to come back and bite you over and over again? Xbox boss Phil Spencer knows what that's like, and he's going to be spending his downtime with his head in his hands after the most recent statement about the upcoming Doom game. So this is interesting. So this is what he had to say. He said, Doom is definitely one of those franchises that has a history of so many platforms. It's a franchise that I think everyone deserves to play. A franchise everyone, like I said, deserves to play. So what did he mean by that? I think a lot of people are going to be kind of talking about that before too long, and you can kind of understand maybe why. If you're not tuned into what's happening in video games, Microsoft obviously has begun publishing some of its games like Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves on like the PlayStation 5 and even the Nintendo Switch. The common wisdom here among game executives as well as gamers who have devoted themselves to a single platform is that exclusives are good. They're a necessity to keep, a reason to buy the platform. If Microsoft is selling their games on PlayStation and Switch, then what's the point of owning an Xbox in the first place? And that is the question that many are asking of Microsoft in the first place. The first batch of games to make the jump were relatively small games, and then of course Sea of Thieves, which looked like it was taking off, and I was very cautious about that, right? I was like, listen, there's literally nothing else out when this game came out. So the people that were like chirping up, oh look, it's the best-selling game, and then you look, and yeah, it was the number 1 selling game on PlayStation, but it's like, what else was out? So I can't imagine it would take much to earn that spot. And then you also have a situation where, you have that kind of spot, and now you've seen that they've also lost a lot of players, something like 60% or 65% of the players that were playing. So anyway, again, it's just one of those things. Doom Dark Ages look great, by the way. It'll be one of Microsoft's biggest games of 2025, and the company announced alongside the blood splatter trailer that the game would be heading to PS5 as well. Microsoft has a lot of franchises under its umbrella these days, thanks to the high-profile acquisitions in recent years: Doom, Wolfenstein, Halo, Forza, Gears of War, Call of Duty, Fallout, and of course Elder Scrolls. They're massive hits, and Microsoft now controls them all. Obviously, it's not hard to see what the next logical suggested step is from Spencer's words. Which franchises are the ones not everyone deserves to play? That's the big question. Elder Scrolls 6, What if that doesn't come to PS5 or PS6? Is that because it's a franchise that not everyone deserves to play? Phil's words were meant to make Microsoft look like the generous good guy while avoiding hopefully upsetting Xbox diehards, but what it really is, though, is a value judgment. Worse yet, it's one that gamers can apply to every game Microsoft publishes moving forward, for at least as long as Spencer's in charge of the Xbox brand, if not longer. Or maybe it's a judgment, who knows? Maybe it's a telegraph swing. Xbox doesn't want to put out all of its franchises above the others, at least not in such a way that it's suggesting. Spencer's mantra with Xbox games for the last few years has been that when everybody plays, we all win. They even have a whole web page devoted to that notion. So if Microsoft doesn't want to put down its franchises and likes the idea of everybody playing its games, what does that mean for the Xbox brand? While we don't know what Microsoft's plans are for the future, this sure seems to suggest that the Xbox brand will eventually go multi-platform for all of its major titles. Spencer has for Xbox fans, been a positive figure since he took over and worked hard for years to get back the trust that Microsoft lost with the ill-conceived Xbox One, but he really hasn't done much in terms of delivering great games, and, obviously the Xbox One was looked at as a big step back, but is selling ahead of the Xbox Series X and S, so, you kind of have to wonder what the deal is there. He offers up some realistic and sometimes even-handed thoughts about the industry that suggests he's actually interested in more people playing, but again, this is like Captain Save-A-Phil here, right? Save an industry. This is like one of the things that he always wants to do, and to me, saving the industry would be having a healthy Xbox doing good with sales. It's one of the few times where it feels like Spencer stepped in a puddle again. Gamers don't forget, not if they can weaponize your own words against you later on. And now Microsoft have attempts to potentially transformative shift in how it views the Xbox platform. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens again, because Microsoft didn't say anything about, about exclusives at their showcase. There was nothing that said exclusive. So, are they leaving the door open for everything? Are they being coy? Is everything going? Like, what's going? I think, we're kind of in that weird situation now, because apparently Phil Spencer said, oh, well, he went to the guy, and the guy was like, yeah, he wants to put it on everything years ago, so they're going to put it on everything. So what happens if, Gears of War people say, hey, we want to put our game on everything? I mean, does that mean you put it on everything at that point? Or what if 343 is like, hey, yeah, we want to put it on everything? I mean, you got to have something, in my opinion, that's going to be kind of exclusive to give people a reason to get your product. And I don't think Game Pass alone is it, because if you think about it, I mean, if Game Pass was this huge deal, and listen, I think Game Pass is a fine complement to Xbox, but it's not like it's something that is this amazing thing that's causing people to go out of their way to get it. That's why Game Pass has lost, millions of subscribers. So when we look at it from that aspect, we kind of go, okay, so what is the reason to actually own an Xbox if not for, some exclusive content? I think that's the kind of part where we're at right now. So, it is a sort of a strange situation, but, maybe one of these days we can figure out exactly what's going on and what's going wrong with this stuff, because, at the end of the day, Microsoft and Phil tends to really, really put his foot in his mouth, and you kind of just have to question like what's going on with that, what's going to change in the future to give people a reason to actually own an Xbox. I think that's going to catch up to them at some point. Anyway, I'll link this article. You guys can check it out. What do you want to see? What do you think we'll see in the future?